The bus ride takes 20 minutes up a narrow switchback road. And then you are there, Machu Picchu, the citadel. Machu Picchu means Old Mountain in Quechua, the Inca language. This old mountain is often covered in moisture and clouds. A sheer drop can be unsettling to some visitors. There are two distinct sections. You'll come first to the agricultural sector and work your way to the urban sector, where the religious, astronomical, and residential structures still stand. The site is about 2 square miles or 5 square kilometers. It's best to begin your visit early or stay late when the crowds thin and it appears that you have Machu Picchu all to yourself. Machu Picchu is not only enshrouded in mist, but also in mystery. No one knows precisely its genesis, age, or its intended purpose. There are theories aplenty. What is known is that the architecture here is modeled after that in Cusco, the Inca capital. But that raises another question. Of all of the mysteries that surround Machu Picchu, this is perhaps the most remarkable one. Look at all these stones. We're thousands of feet above sea level. Nobody knows how all these stones were brought up here, but they were, and look what was built with them.
I'm a general contractor, and my first trade is stonemasonry. And there's no way that with the tools that I have that I could get those rocks to fit so tight and to fit the blocks into those boulders where they have a boulder just sitting there and then they just build a wall around on top of the boulder and it's just perfectly molded in there. Just you can even put a piece of paper between there.
Thought to have been built half a millennium ago, it was not discovered until July 24, 1911 by American Hiram Bingham. He was a graduate of Yale University in Connecticut and the head of Yale's expedition to Peru in that year. The world may never have even known about Machu Picchu except for the fact that in 1911, Hiram Bingham was camping along the river. He happened to meet a campesino, a local poor farmer. That man led him to the jungle-covered area we now know as Machu Picchu. The peasant, Melchor Arteaga, escorted Bingham up the steep slope covered with dense vegetation and eventually showed him the lost city. Bingham was actually looking for the ruins of Vilcabamba, some 60 miles or 100 kilometers from here. It was the last stronghold of the Incas as they were chased relentlessly by Spanish forces. The Spanish invaders apparently never knew this site existed because they had pursued the Incas in the opposite direction. Hiram Bingham returned to this spot in 1912, 14, and 15 with other scientists who drew maps and explored the site in detail. There are a few archaeologists who say they're not even sure the Incas knew of this place either, which raises still more questions. Who really lived here and why? Some speculate that Machu Picchu was built, inhabited, and abandoned all within the space of 100 years. Intertribal wars, epidemics, or something else may have led to its demise. From high atop the hill, visitors get a good view of the agricultural terraces, which provided food to inhabitants of the citadel. The terraces here, as at Chinchetto, helped halt soil erosion. There are no water canals in this section of the complex. Rain was constant, and it watered the crops without the need for irrigation. But there are ruins of storerooms here that look similar to those at Ollantaytambo and Chinchetto. The house of the terrace caretakers is near the agricultural fields. Archaeologists are not sure how many people lived here, perhaps up to 1,000, but they're confident Machu Picchu was self-sufficient. Moving to the residential region, there's a new phenomenon, stone stairways with 3,000 steps. There's a water system here, allowing inhabitants to bathe. There's a royal sector, larger buildings, which most likely housed the elders or the chiefs. The secular area is where the common folk lived, and it is next to the so-called industrial area where the work of the community was carried out. Two other temples dominate this district, the principal temple with the house of the high priest at the rear and the sacristy behind the temple. The other is the Temple of the Three Windows, built on top of a boulder. This is said to be the most impressive architecture in the citadel. And look at this, the windows frame the distant mountains perfectly. March up 78 stone steps to the astronomical observation point, one of the highest spots in the citadel. Here, in an open patio, sits Intihuatana, the hitching post of the sun, perhaps among the most important sights. It measured time and dates, using sunlight and shadow to tell when the solstice and the equinox had arrived. It also served as an altar. The name is Quechua. Inti means sun, Wata means year. Intihuatana. The stone seems to be properly aligned with the surrounding mountains in every direction.
It was incredible. It's an incredible place. To imagine that people were able to construct what they constructed up on top of a mountain.
One building is called the prison group. Even then, there were miscreants. They were kept in cells above and below ground until their debt to society at the citadel had been paid. Next door, an unusual stone carved like a bird's wing. Speaking of animals, there are two groups of critters which have the run of the place. Llamas, including the brand new white baby, and Goyeta de Rocas, the squirrel rabbits of the rocks. To really see the citadel, you need to go up, straight up. Huayna Picchu, which means the young mountain, is a towering granite peak at the edge of the ruins. This was the original Inca path, and it is very steep. Seasoned travelers who are fit and take their time should be able to master this mountain in about an hour or so. If you can't make that trek, there are two other smaller peaks, Huchu Picchu, which means the smallest, and Huaychu Picchu. This is obviously a popular place. In fact, some worry that the intense crowds are harming the ruins and could cause the citadel to fall right off the mountain peak. One study showed the soils at this site are shifting up to 1 centimeter every month.
I think we should restrict the numbers that are allowed to come up.
But people still come. The ruins are open from 7 in the morning to 6 each evening, or from dawn to dusk. The biggest crowds come between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. because that's when the trains arrive from Cusco. Your ticket to get into Machu Picchu lasts for an entire day. You can enter and exit multiple times. Most travelers spend all or part of 1 day here. Now you can see it all if you hurry, but Lisa and I spent 2 days here. The first was clear and cloudy with a bit of rain. The second was damp with heavy cloud cover. Every day seems unique at Machu Picchu.